What's going on, everybody? My name is Aiden and welcome back to another video. Ladies and gentlemen, we've got a short game reaction to provide for you guys before ahead of the Bulls and the Clippers game. Well, the game just ended and we did snap our 3-game losing streak as the Clippers walk away with a win in this game. Now look, I can sit here and be petty. I could sit here and say this isn't fair. I could sit here and say that the Bulls continue to disappoint me. But those things would be a lie. First and foremost, I felt like this game was fair. The Clippers just simply outperformed us in the second half. I obviously am a bit upset about the loss, but I'm not disappointed because the Bulls did some really good stuff in this West Coast trip. I will say this in the Bulls weekly video that I'll have to upload next after this. But what I will tell you now is, who thought the Bulls were going to go 3-1 this week out west? Who thought the Bulls were going to beat the Kings, the Utah Jazz, and the Golden State Warriors ahead of this Clippers game to actually make our season salvageable? Who would have thought that there was even a chance we could get into the 8th seed, even if it's not a big chance? And I will admit this to you now, it's not a big chance. But who would have thought after the end of this week, the end of the West Coast trip, we're sitting here and saying we have a fighting chance of getting into the 8th seed? These are all things we should be happy with, ladies and gentlemen, and I'm going to take that every day of the week. But before we get any further, if you like the video and you want to see more from me, drop a like, drop a follow, and or subscribe if you are new, and let me know in the comments below your thoughts about the Bulls game today and your player of the game. We lost this game 112 to 102, and the best way I could describe this game is just a completely, I guess, a game of two halves, let's say. The Bulls were up by 9 pretty much the entire first half, and we managed the game really well. Every time the Clippers surged, the Bulls surged. Every time they went on a run, we went on a run. Every time they hit a 3, we hit a 3. We're just trading buckets, and we managed the game really well. And then the second half came around. And the second half was quite disappointing at the end of the day, especially in the fourth quarter. But the game flipped on its head. In the fourth quarter, it looks like both teams were really, very close. And then the Clippers kind of ran away with it in the fourth. They managed to get to a 9-point double-digit lead, and they managed the game very well towards the end. This is what good teams do, ladies and gentlemen. When they have the lead, they don't let it go. And the problem with the Bulls is we gave them the lead too late in the game. And that was the problem. We couldn't really bounce back and have our own run and have our own say of things. So that's something that's going to come back to bite us. It's something that did come back to bite us. Now, again, there's another problem I want to get into, but you have to give respect where it's due to the LA Clippers. They're a dangerous team. They're 40 wins for a reason. They are one of the best teams in the Western Conference. Of course, they managed the game. That's what they do. That's what they've been doing. That's why they're such a threat. And they will be a danger for a lot of teams in the playoffs if they can all stay healthy at the same time. So I'm looking forward to seeing what the Clippers could do out west. I do like their team. I like their style. But at the end of the day, the Bulls fought hard in this game. I mean, the first half was a joy to watch in many ways, especially on the defensive end. We were swarming defensively. We got steals and deflections. We were getting blocks. We were getting stops galore. And of course, offensively, we didn't really have a great game. 102 points in a 4-quarter game is often considered very average to mediocre in this day and age. But at the end of the day, I did enjoy our first half, but our second half needs work. I mean, look at this fourth quarter, for example. The Bulls scored 17 points in the fourth quarter to the 29 points the Clippers scored. That was far and away the worst quarter for the Bulls in general, but let's not forget in the third quarter, we allowed the Clippers to score 37 points. So that's a big problem. That's where the game really was won and lost. It was the second half of the game, and it was where the Bulls were just extremely lackluster and disappointing all the way around. But with that being said, there's also another big issue I'd like to talk about, and that is bench scoring, ladies and gentlemen. Now, this has been a problem for the Bulls pretty much for a while now. I get it, we don't have the deepest bench out there, but I want to calculate, once again, the bench points between the Clippers and the Bulls, and that could really show you the type of impact our bench is not producing, even in our wins the last 3 games. We've had our starters carry the load for the most part. Our bench has still been extremely underwhelming. So, Torrey Craig had 6 points, Batum had 6 points, so that's 12. Drummond only 3 points, so that equals 15. It's really poor from Andre Drummond. And that was it for our bench. 15 points off of our bench. Extremely lackluster. We had Powell alone with 18 points outscore our bench. So one bench player for them outscored our entire bench. So that was a problem. So 18 for Powell. Daniel Tice had 6. So I believe that's 24. If I'm not mistaken, 24? 24? 24. I'm going to assume it's 24. Yeah, 24. Then obviously we've got, let's take a look at this. Highland with 10. So that's 34 points off of their bench. And they played very similar amount of guys compared to we did off the bench as well. So it's not like, you know, they had 5 extra players out there playing on their bench and that's how their bench production was. They played very similar guys. I think they played about 3 or 4 guys off their bench. The Bulls did the same. So what's the excuse there, ladies and gentlemen? The problem is that we don't have a lot of bench depth at the moment. Because of this Zach LaVine injury, Lonzo Ball injury, and Patrick Williams injury, they're all starters, granted. You know, Lonzo Ball was the starting point guard, Zach LaVine is starting shooting guard, Patrick Williams is starting power forward. But what that does is when those guys are out, the bench players have to go into the starting lineup. So guys that you would normally see off the bench are now starting for the Bulls. Ayo Dosunmu, Alex Caruso, and, you know, sometimes it's Andre Drummond every now and then. You know, even Kobe White. Even though I would not bench Kobe White at all, even if Lonzo does come back at this point in time. We'll talk about Lonzo a little bit later on in a couple of days' time or something along those lines. But whatever the case may be, very, very, very poor from our bench, and our starters or our bench players had to become starters. So our starters still look strong, but our bench now is sorely lacking. And that's the issue when you have to rely on bench production from young guys. Sometimes they deliver, sometimes they don't. Julian Phillips scores a couple of threes a couple of games ago. I think he had 0 points today. But Tim had 0 points a couple of games ago, dropped 6 today. So it's going to be wildly inconsistent, our bench, at this point in time. But whatever the case may be, we must be prepared for what's to come. And that next game will be against Dallas. We return home and wait and see what ends up happening. In terms of my player of the game, this one's a bit of a tough one, to be honest. I must admit, again, it's so early in the morning that I did lose a little bit of concentration here. But I think 24, 8, and 10 from DeMar DeRozan is quite outstanding. And he's also 8 from 19 from the field. So not terribly inefficient either. So I think I might give it to him. But Kobe White had a good game with 19. Vucevic 22 and 11. That's pretty impressive as well. Then we obviously got, you know, guys like Ayo and stuff of that nature stepping up just a bit more. It is what it is. So that's where my video will end today. Frustrating, of course, but it is what it is. Again, I apologize for the fan being on. I apologize for the echo. There's not much I could do about it, but this is how it's going to be for the next week. Next time we face the Clippers will be the last time I'll be here, and I'll be able to go to my own place. I think there's still an echo in my place as well, which is not as bad as this. And that's about it, yeah. No, the fan is the fan. Like, it's not my fault that Melbourne decided they wanted to be the hottest country in the world today. Thank you for watching. Australia, not Melbourne. Oh my goodness. I need some sleep. Thank you for watching. Drop a like and a follow and or subscribe if you are new. I will see you in the next one. Stay safe, stay healthy, and stay tuned for more. Take care and peace.